So I posted something and it made me think about how important order of events, paying attention to the order of events are. So, for example, in seminary school, one of the things they had us do is really do observations. And observations when you pay close attention to the text and try to resist applying your own interpretation, your own reality onto the text, but actually let the text reveal itself to you. And when you start to do more complex observations, one of the observation types is to pay attention to the order of events, how something happens, in what order. And so I made a comment last week, and I said in a way to disregard certain type of behavior. I said David was a man after God's own heart, and it's often said without really paying attention to the order of events. It's true, but when you pay attention to the order of events, you get a fuller revelation. So David, he was a man after God's own heart. That was noted at the beginning of his account. But then when you start to follow the life of David, you see that he made some mistakes that he had to pay the consequence for, that he had to experience judgment for. And one of the things was his adultery, his affair with Bathsheba, and the murder of her husband, a man that was loyal to him, a man that was on his team. So as a result of that, not only did he lose his baby with Bathsheba, but also God, judged him and basically saying, look, you're going to have strife and fight and violence all throughout your lineage as a result of this. Order of events. Yeah, you're still a man after God's own heart, but because of what you did, this is going to impact your descendants, your legacy. I can say the same thing when it comes to King Solomon. Although King Solomon is known as the wisest and the richest man in the Old Testament, if we pay attention to the order of events, we know that he fell into the idolatry towards back to the end of his life. And as a result, he experienced judgment. 10 kingdoms was torn from his son, from his legacy. Order of events. We can go forward, back up a little bit. We can look at Moses. Moses had a rough start. He was a murderer. Then he began to walk with God, became known as this deliverer, really respected in multiple religions. But because of his disobedience, we pay attention to the order of events. He wasn't allowed entry into the promised land because of his disobedience. Then we look at Paul. Now, Paul started off rough. He was murdering. He gave the approval for the murder of Christians. But then he met Jesus Christ on the road of Damascus. And towards the end of his life, he makes this statement that's so profound. He said that he fought a good fight. It was a good fight. This walk, this journey with Christ, this is a good fight. And guess what? I finished my race. And guess what? I kept the faith. I kept the faith. Regardless of how I started, how I ended, I kept the faith. When Jesus was on the cross, he said it was finished. Jesus finished his assignment. And so let that be an encouragement to us. It doesn't really matter how we start. It matters how we finish. That we keep the faith. We still can be God's girl, God's woman, God's man, boy. We can still be that and have to still experience consequences because of our disobedience. We could be God's woman, man, boy, child, and experience persecution on earth and still receive, well done, thy good and faithful servant. How we live this life, how we end it is important. We can't just do anything we want to do and expect not, because we're a woman after God's own heart. I can't do whatever I want, expect not to experience consequences. The order of events is important when you look at certain scriptures, when you look at the life of someone. So I just want to encourage you to fight the good fight. Fight the good fight. It's a fight. Sometimes you want to quit, give up. Just keep fighting. Keep fighting. Finish your race with Christ, the Holy Spirit. Keep going. If you need to take a break, a water break, take a nap, get back up. Keep fighting, 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 and keep the faith. Many people are leaving the Christian faith. But I want to encourage you, whatever we're going through. I think Paul says that this present day struggles, what we feel, what we're going through and suffering, these present day suffering doesn't even compare to what we will experience in eternity. We just need to finish the race and finish it well and finish it hot. Let's not be lukewarm. Jesus is Lord.